Hello everyone and welcome back to another book review. Today I'm going to be reviewing volume 4 of Solo Leveling. This is a comic series that I've been reading and loving and enjoying, so I wanted to review volume 4 in the series. So up to this point we've been following the adventures of Jinwoo, who is a hunter in a fantastical sci-fi futuristic world. So in the future, or in this alternate reality, I guess we're not really sure which it is, there have been gates that open up in the world. These gates open up and inside are magical creatures. Humans have discovered that they need to close the gate by clearing all the magical creatures out of the, oh my, the cats are running around, out of the gate. They need to clear all the magical creatures out of this dungeon that they can access through the gate within a certain number of days, or they're going to spill out, and they need to close the gate. And the people who do this are called hunters. Hunters are chosen because of their special abilities that they acquire when they are awakened, and as a result, they are paid to go into these dungeons and fight the creatures. Jinwoo is a hunter. However, hunters are ranked based on ability, and when he was ranked as an E rank hunter. So as an E rank hunter, he isn't very powerful, he doesn't have a lot of skills, and he's not going to be paid a lot for his services. Through a very suspicious incident in which he was basically almost killed, or he possibly was killed, it's not really clear, he has suddenly found himself able to see screens in front of him like he's in a video game, and the system that is controlling him can penalize him when he doesn't obey its commands, and it is forcing him to level up. So normally in the world, when you become assigned a rank as a hunter, you're more or less stuck there. It's very rare for you to move up a level. That's called a reawakening, and it is uncommon. So Jinwoo starts to follow the system's commands, and he starts to be able to increase his power, which isn't supposed to happen, and he's not supposed to be able to continue to improve over time. That's not something that happens in the hunter world. Yes, you can improve maybe your experience and your, I guess, weaponry skills, but you can't go up to be a different ranked hunter. It's just not how the system works. So Jinwoo isn't really sure who's running the system or why the system exists, but he knows he has to follow it, otherwise he's going to get penalized, but he's starting to draw attention to himself. So he doesn't want anyone to know about these suspicious level ups, but he keeps getting into these situations where he's the only survivor from a situation, from a mission that he shouldn't be a survivor from as a low-ranked individual. So in volume 4, there is another suspicious event that occurs. A gate opens and Jinwoo is supposed to go in. A guild is trying to recruit him, so they're doing him a favor. They're allowing him to go into the gate to kind of see the training process. And after they go in, the gate becomes a red gate, which basically means it becomes way more dangerous than everyone expected it to be, and no one else can go in. They're just kind of locked in there. So the guild is panicking because when this happens, usually a lot of people die because they didn't send in appropriately ranked hunters to take care of the gate, and they also sent in an E rank hunter. For all they know, Jinwoo's an E rank hunter, although they are suspicious. The person who's trying to recruit him is trying to recruit Jinwoo because he believes Jinwoo is what's called a false rank, or at the very least is hiding something, because he keeps being able to survive these situations that other E rank hunters would definitely not be able to survive. So Jinwoo inside this gate is trying to survive, and I don't want to give too much of the plot away, but long story short, he does wind up coming out of the situation unscathed, and it is highly suspicious because more highly ranked people do not survive coming out of that gate. So it immediately draws a lot of attention from a lot of people, and there are real questions. At this point, basically, Jinwoo can no longer hide that he has increased in power, which is very rare. He doesn't really disclose the fact that he's seeing these systems. He's already kind of discovered that no one else can see the screen in front of him, and he's ready to come forward and kind of show and prove that he has more power than he used to, and he's not really revealing why, because I'm not really sure Jinwoo knows why he has all this power. One of the more interesting things that happened when they were in the Red Gate, which was this alternate like frozen world, is we see the first sign of something being weird with the system. Up to now, it's just kind of taken for granted that he can see these prompt screens, and they're basically like video game screens in front of him that's forcing him to level up. He has to follow them, and he's clearly improving, so he is able to use this for his benefit. So the system isn't necessarily lying to him, but we're not really sure who controls the system. Like, what is the system? It's this shadowy process that's behind the scenes that seems to be running things and prodding at least Jinwoo towards certain actions and forcing him to do certain things, maybe things he wouldn't want to do, but we're not really sure who controls it. Is it its own entity, or is it being controlled by someone else? So the screens kind of look just like these video game screens, and he's the only one who can see these, but in this frozen world in the Red Gate, he encounters what is supposed to be an enemy, and Jinwoo asks a question of the enemy, and the enemy starts to respond, but then the system seems to, the world, not necessarily the screen in front of him, the world around him seems to glitch for a moment and then almost rewind a couple seconds and repeat. This doesn't happen again, and the action kind of moves on quickly, so the reader is kind of moved along from that scene, but it does kind of raise a red flag, like, okay, the system has access to the world around him, or something weird is happening with these enemies, because the world kind of fast forwarded past the question that the system didn't want Jinwoo to know the answer to, and kind of almost was able to influence the environment for that purpose, which we know the system kind of has some influence on the environment, but this is one of the few times that we were kind of able to see maybe how much, and also start to question. So I think that glitch in the system that we saw when Jinwoo was in the Red Gate was very, very interesting, and I want to keep an eye out for that in future volumes, because I think it kind of points to the fact that this shadowy system that's running or controlling Jinwoo's life to a certain extent has its own goals, has its agenda, and we're not sure what that agenda is, but it might not be entirely friendly. At this point, the author has created a very interesting, unique, complex world. It could have been a very shallow, action-packed book, but I feel like the characters have real depth, have real meaning. I feel like there's a wide variety of characters, and each of the characters have their own competing goals, their own competing obligations, tasks. So they're all kind of working with their own goals amongst each other. It's not very black and white in the sense that it's not like there's the good guys who are all doing one thing and the bad guys who are all doing another thing. And in this kind of book that feels like an action adventure, I feel like it's very easy to have those black and white sides. It just kind of makes things easier if you just want to see someone cool, you do some badass moves and beat up some bad guys. But I feel like by taking it this extra step and giving these characters depth, it makes the story overall more interesting, and it also makes the story hold up better over the long term. Overall, I would give Solo Leveling Volume 4 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to getting Volume 5. I would love to hear what you thought about this volume. If you've read this volume, please let me know what you think about it. I'm enjoying this series and I'm excited to continue it, so I want to know what you guys think about it. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I hope